Good morning. My name is Robert Singleton, and I serve as the Director of Policy and Public Affairs for California and the U.S. West region at Chamber of Progress. We are a tech industry association supporting public policies to build a more inclusive society in which all people benefit from technological advances. As such, we are strong supporters of autonomous vehicles because of their potential to drive economic growth while making our roads safer, greener, and more accessible. Therefore, we applaud the DMV for opening the door to autonomous trucking in California, and we appreciate the department's incorporation of feedback since October. It is clear the department is committed to realizing the innovative and broadly distributed public benefits associated with continuous autonomous vehicle deployment and is actively leading in this effort. Many of our concerns that were raised with informal proposed language last year have been addressed. However, further changes are still necessary. Specifically, ODD restrictions could undermine safety and efficiency. While restrictions on trucking operations have been reduced, the proposed rules still arbitrarily ban AV trucks from roads under 25 miles per hour. This could prevent safe operation in essential areas like warehouse districts where low-speed roads are common. The limited exemptions allowing use of roads only when they conflict with restrictions are too vague, potentially forcing operators to choose between the safest route and the shortest one. For instance, a regulation-compliant route might cut through a dense area or use a narrow road, while a safer alternative might be slightly longer. These constraints could force decisions that prioritize compliance over safety. The rules also conflate operational design domains with specific routes, limiting flexibility. Operators must list exact routes and related local roads in their permits, which may not reflect the future changes in operations or business needs. Hub-to-hub operations may evolve, requiring permit modification for simple route adjustment adds unnecessary administrative burden and delays without enhancing safety. Additionally, the inability to anticipate every needed local road could hinder responses to real-time issues like construction or emergencies. These rigid rules may lead operators to apply for overly broad ODDs or limit their operations altogether. Therefore, we urge the department to remove the unnecessary restrictions on heavy-duty ODDs to support safety, flexibility, and innovation. Rules regarding interactions with law enforcement are also too rigid and could undermine safety. Public safety is paramount for AV operators and first responders. However, some of the rules governing interactions with law enforcement agencies are overly rigid and could undermine safety and compromise AV operators and law enforcement's ability to handle dynamic situations. First, equipment requirements pose risks for first responders and operations. The requirement for AVs under 10,000 pounds to include a manual override system for law enforcement is unnecessary and introduces new risks. AV operators are already required to provide dedicated communication lines for law enforcement, enabling remote operators to safely manage vehicles during emergencies. A physical override system could be accessed by unauthorized individuals or bad actors, creating serious safety and security concerns. Additionally, expecting law enforcement to manually override AVs in emergency situations is inefficient and potentially dangerous. Remote operators with technical expertise are better suited to safely control AVs in real time. Officers should not be responsible for directing vehicle movement in complex or high-risk situations. Therefore, we urge the department to revise these requirements to better support safe and efficient AV and law enforcement interactions. Extensive data reporting requirements could also stifle competition and undermine DMV operations. The proposed expansion of data reporting requirements would impose significant burdens on both autonomous vehicle operators and the DMV. Requiring monthly reports detailing every disengagement and hard-braking event would be costly and difficult to implement, particularly for smaller companies and newer market entrants. These high compliance costs risk giving an advantage to larger, more established players and could deter innovation, ultimately limiting competition and consumer choice in California. Since no other state mandates this level of reporting, California's approach could discourage operators from entering the market altogether. Because similar metrics are not tracked for human driver vehicles, the data reported by AV operators would be analyzed in a vacuum. As a result, any conclusions drawn from this data would be incomplete. The data reporting requirements would also impose significant costs on the DMV itself. Requiring such extensive data reporting would divert resources from the DMV and AV operators' other priorities. Therefore, we urge the department to focus on collecting meaningful and contextualized data. In light of these issues, operational restrictions, law enforcement interaction protocols, and data reporting requirements, we remain concerned about the unintended consequences of the proposed rules. Autonomous vehicles have already improved the lives of hundreds of thousands of Californians and people across the country. California has long been a leader when it comes to technological progress and embracing autonomous vehicles. We urge the department to reconsider these provisions as their current form risks undermining safety, stifling innovation, and limiting equitable access to the benefits of autonomous vehicle technology in California. Thank you for your attention for details and for allowing these comments to happen.